Yo, it's my Talk Thursdays number 2. I'm actually pretty proud of how the series is going, or at least the first one, because I got some reception back from it, and it sounded like people really liked it, and that's a pretty good feeling to have. I mean, of course, I'm hoping it can get a bunch of views, but as I am now, I'm just not at the level where I can do that yet. But I do want to try something new with this one, though. I did want to try only going for exactly 30 minutes to try and make it a little bit shorter, because though that last one had a lot of good points, felt like it dragged on a little long where I was just kind of repeating myself in the end. And I don't know if people want really long videos or if they like more short ones. I'll just see how it does. But I'm gonna keep trying out things and hopefully one of them will eventually hit. Today I'm gonna play Cluster Truck, like I said in the first one. Love this game. Absolutely banger of a game. I've played it like I don't know how many times, doing a little playthrough. And I think it's a great game to just take your mind off of things and just like kinda talk. Well, what I wanted to talk about today, I think I had some topics I wanted to talk about, but I kind of just started this video up on a whim, not like having written down anything. Well, I had a not such a rocky night last night, but more like a reminiscent night. I was actually watching a video by Bisley, the his Last of Us video, and it got to he was explaining the point of the beginning of the game where Joel leaves behind his daughter, and he was talking about how that's like sentimental, or like how the actors portrayed it so well. The moment was placed within his top 5 games like of all time. And I thought back to that. I was like, what are my top 5 games of all time? And I have like games like Elden Ring, Monster Hunter Rise that made me love the genre of just like kind of like Souls-like. I mean, Monster Hunter's a Monster Hunter, but my third game was kind of what set me on like the path of thought. And it was Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is a really, really important game to me. And I think only until last night, it was a story I couldn't tell without starting to cry. And like, as I'm telling it here, I'm starting to tear up a little bit. Not tear up, as you can't see tears in my eyes. But I can feel like that kind of like stinging that comes in your eyes right before you're about to cry. And to get into the story, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was the first game I ever truly remember playing with my grandpa. And a bit of a trigger warning, this is kind of sad. I'm sure if you're guessing if it's sad, you can guess where it's going. But it was the first game I ever got to play with my grandpa. Like, that I truly remember and truly, like, have great memories of. And in the game, I can't really remember much as I was a kid when playing it. But like, some of my greatest memories are just like going through that first temple, the forest, fighting that like 8-hand, whatever the heck it is, and having to use its own swords against it. All of that while my grandpa was in the backseating me. I remember as a kid, his backseating didn't piss me off at all. It was like he helped coach me, and I loved that coaching. It's like you discovered something with someone you love, and that always felt really freeing to me, rather than it being like, I'm telling you what to do, go there, do this, do that. It was never that for me. It was always just, we're discovering together. And I remember playing through the game, eventually getting to the end of it with the Dark Beast, getting to the final boss. I mean, spoiler warning, but I'm sure most of you who are watching this either haven't played the game nor care about playing or already know the ending. And so you get to the end where you're fighting Demise, and I remember as a kid, I couldn't beat him. I tried my hardest over and over again. I couldn't beat him. And my grandpa, well, he's an older guy. He always liked the puzzle solving and like discovery of Legend of Zelda, so he wasn't really good at fighting. So we had to call in my uncle to come help us. And I remember that so fondly, and it was such a good time. And it just shows like how I love games. I love what they can do and how they could tell just such a story within them without the story that's in them. And to continue the story that's personal. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword was also the last game I ever got to play with my grandpa. The remake came out, and being a fan of Legend of Zelda, especially Skyward Sword, he got it immediately. I remember going over to my grandparents' house one day, and I think I was having a sleepover because I needed to get community service done, or something like that. And I think I didn't focus on the community service at all. Instead, I focused on playing Skyward Sword. And I think I was there for like 2 days, so I just remember blitzing the entire game with my grandpa. It was a really good time. I remember going through, I think my best memory was I was going through that volcano temple, and I couldn't figure out, there was a puzzle with a bomb, and you needed to blow up a certain piece of the rock wall with the bomb, and I couldn't figure it out. And my grandpa was dropping these little hints everywhere, every here and there, little hints to get me closer. And I could kind of tell he was getting pissed off, but I think the trait carried over from my younger self that, like, I didn't care that he's backseating. I just loved playing the game with him. And eventually my grandma came in and was like, let him figure it out on my own. And I was like, no, I love the help. And eventually, like, I understood that, you know, you had to bomb the certain part to let the lava spew down. And it made me, like, kind of flash back to my childhood. And it was such a great moment. And eventually playing through it, speed running it, I got to the final boss with him. I think it was like maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon fighting it. I loved that boss fight I did with him there. Because I think it showed just how much growth I had really gone through in life. Because I didn't need help from my uncle. All I needed was my grandpa at my back and the skills I've built up over life. And playing that boss, having to hold up the sword, charge your lightning, and just destroy him, I only figured out that I had to hold it up to the sky because my grandpa's sitting right behind me. And so beating that boss, I beat it first try without needing any gamer skill help from anybody else. And I think it was kind of unceremonious to me at the time, but it was, looking back on it now, it was such a great story told just through a game where the story didn't even really matter much. I had grown so much from when I was a kid to where I am now, and getting to, like, experience that with my grandpa was great. Now, unfortunately, after the game, I beat the game. I left, and, you know, I see my grandpa, like, or I go to my grandparents' house, like, weekly from time to time to, like, monthly from time to time. And in this period, my other grandma, was going through some health trouble, and I was much more focused on that. The point that, well, my grandpa got in serious health trouble, and I didn't know he died until, like, he got, like, something really bad happened to him, and I think he died the same day they knew what happened. And it was heartbreaking, and I was destroyed, and it's why this was a story recently I couldn't choke out without crying, because I felt like I would have wished so much just to say, like, a few final words to him, and I never got to say those words. But that, I think the words I could have said were told throughout the game I played with him, or the gameplay or game run I did with him through Skyward Sword. I think it said more than I could ever say to him face to face, and I'm really glad that it was the final thing I ever got to do with him, looking back on it now. Now, I actually wrote, like, a whole, like, probably, like, 300-word rant to my grandma last night about this whole topic, but in it, I was talking about how I ponder on quotes a lot, like, significant quotes that I think are, like, really interesting, usually to do with philosophy. But the one I was thinking about in this situation was, or I guess not even in this situation, just, like, one I ponder about a lot, is how art imitates life, and how, in turn, life imitates art. And I thought, in my life, there's no way that's true, because my life isn't a story. My life is pretty boring. I play games all day. I kind of sit here being like a chud. But looking back, I realized that story I got to experience with Grandpa, it was, it could make for one hell of a movie, because it's up there as, like, the greatest story I ever got to experience in life. It's why I'm such a big gamer to this day. I love games, and a lot of that is due to him and my grandma, and getting to share, just getting to bask in the glory of games due to him is something I never thought in the moment that would happen. Started this one off on a bit of a somber note, but I think it was really significant to how I was yesterday. I kind of wanted to use this to segue, but now I talked about that for a long time. I don't even know when I started the video, probably around like 3, so I'll go until 3:30. We're gonna beat this level and check, and then we'll catch right back. Should just take like a second or two. We have about 19 minutes left, which at 3:28, I will end the run, or end the recording. But using that story to segue into my next thought, it was how I think this is gonna be, not in the recording sense, this series is going to be great for me, but in more in the mental health sense, this is going to be great for me. Because I'm a guy who can't really process my emotions well. Like, it's either I wear them on my sleeve and you could tell, like, completely how I am, or I, like, dig them down so deep that they explode. And it's like, I can't control myself at all. And so I think being able to talk just kind of alone, but to a camera where I kind of know people are going to see this, even if it's not a lot, should help me a lot with just how I want to express myself. I felt like I had more to say about this, but I guess that's about it. I'm just going to be able to express myself better. Man, ran out of topics fast. But you know what I didn't run out of? Topics. Because I just thought of one immediately as I said that. I was getting a little pissed off on my friends yesterday. And I thought about recording yesterday, but I kind of realized, yeah, I'm a bit too pissed to do that. And so I think like, not in the sense that I was like really angry, but it's kind of like you were joked with one too many times for the night and you're like, you're tired of it. And it's like, it's deep within you. You feel the kind of pissed offness. And so I thought, yeah, I don't really want that coming through in my recording. So I didn't really record it. What I wanted to say on that topic is I love those guys I banter with like almost every day, like to the bottom of my heart. They're such great people. I think it's necessary not just having one group of like people that support you on such a deep level, but that you have two. It's like, I think you could consider yourself sort of healthy when you have two groups of people that you can rely on for like everything. Like you can go to one and like you can complain about your problems, and you can go to the other, complain about those same problems, and both of them will give you separate advice that is equally as valuable. And I think this is important that you need two rather than just one. And it's because sometimes we're human and we just don't want to talk to people. Or at least I'm human, and sometimes I just don't want to talk to certain people. Like, reiterating back on the point I said with like how my friends were kind of pissing me off, I didn't want to talk to them about how like thinking about my grandpa, because they were kind of pissing me off. I really didn't want to talk about that. But having my family or like my grandma and my uncle to talk to about that topic, like I have those people in my life that I can very easily talk about sensitive topics, even if it's not like a majority of the time what I'm talking about. Having those two people when you're tired of one, you can go back to the other. It's, I think, an extremely healthy thing. And I think it's kind of not required, but it'll help you so much in life if you're able to do that. To get to the next point though, I don't really know. I was talking about all this and I feel like I had so many good topics planned, and I realized they're like 3-minute tangents. I'll just go on really quickly. To force myself to think or expand on the topic of what I was just saying, like having those two groups of people, I kind of want to say that I feel like at certain times, those groups of people won't help you out at all. And other times they'll be the most helpful people in the world. Because I love my parents to death, and they're great at helping and solving certain issues. But I think because of the different age gap and the different ways we grew up, we see the world differently. And sometimes it can be kind of disheartening what they say. And it's like, I don't want to talk to them anymore. So having the other group to fall back on is really useful. Because you'll have sympathy and you'll have realism by going back and forth between these two groups. Like school, like I'll hear from my parents how school is the most important thing in the world. You gotta lock in and do it. And even if I think it's the most stupid assignment in the world, or the classes are as boring as can be, and I feel like they're draining me of my life, I still have to sit down and just power through it, because like it'll make your future so much better. But if I'm ruining my present, it's gonna, I feel like, tamper with my future, and it's gonna piss me off in the future. But then I went to my friends and they're like, yeah, it is stupid. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But we all have problems to complain about, especially with school. Like we all have these giant projects to do, especially because we're seniors now, and the end of the first semester is coming up, which means some people are finishing up classes and some people are even graduating. And like, I'm sure that's ridiculously stressful, graduating at this point. Like, you're not graduating with anybody. I guess you're probably not graduating with many other people, and you don't have like the summer to get ready. You're kind of thrown into such an awkward timing. Like when everybody else is usually graduating in the summer, you're graduating mid-winter. And how does that change up what you're doing? Like, are you gonna work a job more? Are you gonna go to school in the spring? And if you do, how do you get into it? Because I mean, I'm supposed to have been looking into colleges, but man, I've already applied to like all of the schools I'm probably gonna apply to. But man, do I still barely understand how college admissions work. Like, you go to school in the spring, do you already need to be signed up? Or is it fine to just go there? It's such a confusing time. And I'm like, I don't know how these people deal with it. It makes my problem seem all the more smaller. But I also don't really want to think that my problems are small. It's just that compare yourself to everybody else, and eventually your problems seem a little smaller, even if they aren't. Like, I certainly have first world issues, which are not as bad as some of these other countries. But I think with how people have been raised, they definitely can be on an equal scale, or at least partially be like understandable as to why someone's struggling with it, even if it doesn't seem that bad. And so, even though my problem of like schoolwork seems like really annoying to me, I'm sure other people are having a much more difficult time sorting out like their financials, what they're gonna do, what happens after they graduate high school. Are they gonna start living alone? Because it's tricky times, and I have no idea how they do it. And I feel like I was playing Expedition 33 earlier, and during some cutscene, Luna was talking about how like no one knows what they're doing, honestly. Or like she has the theory no one knows what they're doing. And you hear that so much to the point where it's like, yeah, I don't really think anyone knows what they're doing. And yet, why do we all pretend that we do? Because if you ask like any adult, I feel like they always feel like they have a plan, or they're always ready for something. And I'm not an adult. I'm about to be an adult, but I don't feel like I have that plan ready. Drink break. I have no idea what I'm gonna do when I'm an adult. I feel like being a young adult, I feel like it's just being a teenager plus. And well, I gotta be honest, my teenage experience was already pretty messed up. So I don't really want that. But I think a new time in my life is the best time to like kind of redo yourself, make Shubi Mark II. And I don't know if like my values need to stay the same as I remake myself. Because one of the biggest things this year, I think I've thought about, or not one of the biggest thing, but like something I've thought about a little recently, because I've been listening to the Glaive, specifically prom, is that I don't plan to go out to my senior prom. And I've heard so many videos say like, man, you should definitely go to your senior prom because it's only going to happen once. Everybody only gets one time of it. You get one opportunity and then it's gone. You can never go again. But I don't think I want to go. Like, and it's kind of because of like the slight antisocial tendencies, but it's also because I don't really care about the people in this school. Like, you have your acquaintances, and then I have my few friends, and my few true friends. And rather than going to some, I'm sure it'll be a nice school dance, I'd much rather go to like Taco Bell and just talk about random crap. I don't want to go to some place where I'm surrounded by people I don't like, where I know I'm gonna have to interact with some people that I act nice to in school, but I really couldn't care less, or I kind of feel really annoyed by them. And so it's just something I don't really want to do. And I think prom has kind of, well, because when you're a kid, so many TV shows show it as like, will you be my promposal or something like that, that it's like romantic. And I think that's something I'm also far away from. So why would I want to do that? And there's just so much that makes me think, well, I really don't want to do prom. And I have to listen to these people in my ears say, you should really go, you should really go, you should really go. Or how like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. And it's, I don't care, nor do I want to go. That's not important to me. And I don't know why so many people, other people find it important. And I would really like to know, since, while like different opinions and all that, but also what made me the way I am to make me not wanna go. I think I could probably already tell you the story about like COVID, but I feel like as I've gotten a little more social, shouldn't I want to go? But maybe I'm not social yet. I just think of myself as social, so I can't even tell. But prom isn't the only thing that I'm like missing out on for my senior experience. Like, I'm not going on my senior trip, and it's a really cool senior trip. It's a trip to the Bahamas, which that's super cool in it of itself. Like, they're also spending a day in Florida, and that's super interesting, good for them. But, like, to reiterate, I know my cousin is going on the trip, and yeah, I'd like to spend, like, the days with him, but spending that spending that much money to go there and, like, having to kind of bask in the senior, like, I guess, experience or, like, emotion or the vibe isn't really something I want to do. Because if I'm to be completely honest, this senior year has been the worst school year of my life. Like, the amount of work I have, the thoughts of just, like, why am I doing this? The thoughts of fear that come with it. Like, I don't, this year has been kind of awful, and I don't think it's something worth celebrating, which is another reason why I don't think I'm going to prom, and it's, like, a guaranteed reason why I'm not going on a senior trip. Like, I can use the excuse that I'm scared of, like, water, or I get, like, seasick easily. Well, I don't, and, like, I can also use the excuse that I've already been to the Bahamas, but, like, there's no reason why I want to go again. And I think the main reason why I really don't want to go is just having to spend all that time surrounded by people I don't like for 3 days on a ship. Even if I'm going to spend the majority of it with people I do care about, it doesn't balance out for me, and I don't want to go. And I kind of think, like, I guess it is kind of an introverted thought, but does anybody really want to spend time with people they don't like? Like, I read Daigo Umehara's book, like, The Will to Keep Winning. And in the book, he talks about how he's gonna hang out with people he doesn't like just because they're of such a different mindset to him. And, like, it kind of bashes his own mindset, and that in turn makes him stronger. And I think to that, and I think when I see their mindset, it's not like, oh, they're different than me, let me try and figure out how they're different. It's like, I don't like how they act, and I'd much rather observe them from afar. But going back on what I'm saying, I just said, like, I want to get to know them better. And now I'm kind of thinking, I kind of want to be like a scientist with a bunch of lab rats. Why do they think this way? Why don't I? And what's the main difference? But that just makes me sound like a really bad person. And I wonder if that's in part why I don't want to go to my senior prom and senior trip. I think also it's because I've kind of villainized school, and I've kind of considered it like, I'm not your average person or your average, like, schoolgoer. And because of that, I don't really deserve to be there. Like, I look at people like that and I think, oh, they're normies, they're school people. That's the people who would go on a school trip, but not someone like me. I spend all my time inside playing video games or learning to edit videos, and I spend, like, so much time on my computer that, like, my screen time is probably, like, I don't know, like 15 hours a day, because, like, my life is on the computer. So much of it, like, all I really have other than my computer and my internet life is running. And I think that's a problem in it of itself, but it's a problem I can't really fix, at least not right now. And so with this problem, I kind of think to myself, well, not to get sidetracked on that, that's a topic for another day of discussion, but I think it kind of does lend itself to, like, why I don't want to go on the school trip. I feel kind of isolated from normal people, because I feel like I'm not normal at all, or at least my experience hasn't been normal at all, because I felt so lonely in years past, and because it took so long for me to finally feel like I'm sociable, which I don't even think I'm very sociable. I'm just, like, I hit the bare minimum of being able to talk to people sometimes. But I think we're coming up on that 30-minute timer. I got, like, let me check. Got, like, 2 minutes left. If I specifically check, if you give me a moment. Have about 1 minute 15 seconds left. I'm keeping this video to strictly 30 minutes of recording time. No matter, like, the problems I had to deal with and set up, it will stay 30 minutes. So I hope these topics were interesting, and if you'd like to hear more about them, be sure to comment and say anything about it. I will continue doing these no matter what. So even if you don't like and subscribe, I definitely will. But please do like and subscribe, because I would really like to just be fully encouraged to make even grander projects. And I'm thinking of making maybe making those 40-minute videos a series of its own, while I keep these 20 minutes videos on My Talk Thursday. If you'd like to see that, then give me some recognition that you'd like to see it. Other than that, we made it up to level 6-4, which I'm kind of surprised. I played this game pretty quickly. I do play it a lot, but thanks for checking in. Like, subscribe, and peace.